Welcome back to another episode of the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where every day we dive into the world of technology and its impact on our lives and our businesses. And I'm your host, Neil C. Hughes. And today we have an insightful conversation lined up that goes beyond the headlines of high-profile cyber vulnerabilities. But before we do, for any organisation grappling with the ever-changing threat landscape and also considering the safety of equipping your employees with Mac, tune into the We Got Your Mac podcast, a show that delves into the reasons behind widespread deployment of Apple Mac platform. If you check out the show, you can also learn how this technology not only revolutionises businesses, but also drives transformative growth. So if you're interested in gaining valuable insights into the Mac operating system and hardware security, as well as a comprehensive overview of that Mac security ecosystem, don't miss the latest episodes of We Got Your Mac. Featuring expert guests released every 2 weeks, you can listen anywhere that you tune into your favourite podcasts and at wegotyourmac.com. But in today's show, in the ever-evolving landscape of cybersecurity, I think it's easy to get caught up in the sensationalism of celebrity breaches. So today, I want to take a deeper dive into the real challenges that organisations face when it comes to prioritising and remediating real challenges that organisations face, especially when it comes to prioritising and remediating threats. So joining me today is Adi Dubin, a 20-year veteran in the cybersecurity space and the head of product management at Skybox Security. And he brings a wealth of experience and knowledge, and he's going to be joining us to shed light on how organisations can more effectively focus on vulnerabilities that matter most to their operations. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Israel, where he's waiting to join us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me today. My name is Adi Dubin. I'm Vice President of Product Management in Skybox Cybersecurity. So I can say that I'm a cybersecurity veteran. I'm doing this more than 20 years now, maybe a little bit more. In my last 3 companies, I was in AT&T Cybersecurity division for 7 years, working on, so many things. AT&T grew so fast in those years. And then I moved into the automotive domain. I was working for Algos Cybersecurity that was acquired by Continental, and now I'm in Skybox. Now, I love cybersecurity. It's the most fascinating domain. I enjoy basically every day.
And that really comes across as well. I can tell by the passion in your voice there. And also the fact that you've got over 176,000 entries in the National Vulnerability Database. I've got to ask, how does Skybox Security approach the daunting task of identifying and prioritising vulnerabilities, and what criteria or maybe even technologies are employed to sift through this vast amount of data?
First of all, that's a very good question. So, we as a Skybox look at the cybersecurity from holistic point of view. So we leverage combination of active and passive technologies, okay? And we don't believe that there is one a tool that fits everything. It has to be combinations of solutions. So we go beyond of just identifying vulnerabilities for the customer. We are also providing priorities for them, and we are assessing how the vulnerability really impacts the organization. So when you look at vulnerabilities, you can think about vulnerability have 2 different types of risk. The first one is systematic risk. It's like the market risk. Okay. You can think about CVSS or even the new EPSS type of formulas. Those are very systematic, right? It's market. It's not specific to one's organization. On the other hand, we provide also capabilities to understand customer-specific risks, okay, around the ability of attacker to breach the vulnerability in his organization, okay, and to understand the business context of the vulnerability in his organization by adding a lot of techniques which are around exposure analysis and asset importance, and all kinds of machine learning and different algorithms that we have developed throughout the years, which basically takes all of those systematic and specific customer factors into one coherent risk prioritization. So when the customer is basically using our product, first of all, he knows which vulnerability he has, and then he gets the appropriate prioritization fits to his organization and his processes. Last thing, we are also adding like quantitative assessment to those vulnerabilities. So, it's, we technical guys, more technical guys, we love scores, right? So we want to have like simplicity, like it's 0, it's or 100. But when you talk to, business guys, they need to get those values in the context of the business, how much money it's going to cost them, right? So we also provide them quantitative assessments and dollar figures to understand how the vulnerabilities impact the business in terms of dollar amounts.
And even though I am a tech journalist, I must admit I do have a love-hate relationship with the media in general because, first of all, there are no positive sci-fi stories out there. Every movie is a dystopian future rather than a hopeful or utopian view of the future. And also, when it comes to cybersecurity, there's always a disproportionate focus on high-profile celebrity vulnerabilities in the media and even the cybersecurity community sometimes too. So I'm curious, what are the potential risks of this skewed attention, do you think?
So everybody loves a good story, and celebrity vulnerabilities are a good story, right?
Yes.
It's like when this stuff happens, it's something that is something horrible is going to happen, and everybody gets their attention. But to be honest, media often shifts forward high-level vulnerabilities due to their appeal, right? And but when you take a better look at those celebrity vulnerabilities, sometimes they are just not impacting your organization or the customer organization because there is compensating control. So there is even other type of layers of security which you just can't utilize those. So for us, we view excessive focus on celebrity vulnerabilities. We say that it can lead to wrong perceptions of the overall threat landscape, and this can result in disproportionate attention and resource allocated to those few high-profile vulnerabilities, while you are basically neglecting numerous other critical but less publicized security issues. And I'm not talking about just CVEs in general, right? Because when the CISO wakes up in the morning and say, let's all focus on Log4j, they are not focusing on other issues which probably going to be even more severe, right?
100%. And of course, we're only a couple of weeks away from life in 2024, and a lot of businesses will be looking at the strategic prioritization of their cybersecurity. So I'm curious, for those people listening, are there any strategies that you would recommend that organizations should adopt to effectively prioritize those vulnerabilities, especially considering their attackers often exploit the lower severity vulnerabilities, don't they?
Yeah. So to grapple with growing cybersecurity complexity, security teams need, let's say, a new approach that offers improvement in performance. And of course, also efficiency, right? So in order to do this risk reduction, I usually propose the customers to utilize something like continuous exposure management, which is basically a modern approach. By the way, it's nothing new here, okay? It's not like somebody invented the wheel, but the emphasis, okay, is about the risk-based process, okay, which, first of all, it's holistic approach. It provides 360 degrees of visibility of the attack surface. It helps you to discover and understand full range of your exposures in the wide sense of the exposure. And also provide you like ability to assess the risk and to prioritize them in a business context. And of course, the most important part after the prioritization is to really understand how to mitigate the problem, because many companies prefer to do like a patch upgrade type of scenario by default. But when you look at organization, let's say with an OT environment or other complicated systems, those type of solutions are the long path. It can happen like for months. until that type of upgrade can happen. So by utilizing a smarter process that also looks at the at solutions from a more comprehensive, cost-effective way, can give them abilities to mitigate those problems by maybe utilizing some compensating control or to change something in the network, right? Or to apply, IPS change, okay? Not necessarily to go with the default patch and upgrade. And the nicest part about those CTAM processes that it requires you to build KPIs and dashboard and measure yourself, and to build retrospective process, because it's a continuous process. So you all the time learn, you find what is missing your environment. You can change, you can understand how to improve yourself throughout the time.
So how do you at Skybox Security, how do you balance that need to address those less severe yet potentially exploitable vulnerabilities with the limited resources that most organizations are grappling with at the moment? Because it's a huge balancing act very often, isn't it?
Yeah, that is true. So we prioritize vulnerability based on their potential or impact the organization. Okay, as I told you before, we don't look just at systematic risks, we look at the customer specific risk. And that ensuring that the limited resources are basically focused on the most critical vulnerabilities. So our exposure risk assessment methodology basically consider factors like asset criticality, network of exposure to attackers, and other type of factors which basically provide context and allow the customer to understand which vulnerability will impact his vulnerabilities, his business the most. Okay. And the second area is, of course, automation. When you have limited resources, you also want to automate most of the processes as possible, right? So it's not just automate the remediation work, which, of course, is a very complicated thing to do because, first of all, you need to make people believe that they can actually automate the work and trust the automation, which is not something that simple, okay? And I think one of the reasons that a lot of products which provide today automation fail or customers are not turning on automation is because those projects, okay, or products, they lack all the required information to take a decision. So basically what we try to do is, first of all, we try to collect all the relevant information for the decision, which is not just specific about the vulnerability itself, it's also about the environment. And then to provide workflows, automations, which include, of course, remediation work, but also day-to-day tasks. Okay, if you need to set to find important assets, we will apply logic for you to understand which assets are the most important ones for you to find it based on usage or what is installed on those assets, and those type of tasks that we can automate and reduce labor on a daily process.
And two other big topics in cybersecurity right now are predictive analytics and artificial intelligence. So I'm curious, from everything that you're seeing, in what ways are you seeing these being utilized to forecast potential threats and vulnerabilities? And we've heard about the buzzwords, but how effective are these technologies in real-world scenarios?
So when I think of machine learning, okay, for me, this is just another tool. The only thing is basically to understand which use case this tool is good and which tool is not good. So, what's powerful about machine learning is the ability to take large quantities of data and automatically assess it. Okay, it can be monitoring network traffic, user behavior, log anomalies like SIEM and SOAR tools are doing, or suspicious activity and such. This type of real-time and capabilities of the machine learning helps organization to identify threats, right? So when you talk about threat intelligence, okay, it's kind of the same because the number of data sources that you have is overwhelming, right? The number of vulnerability increase, in exponential rate, every year. So you can't just apply and add people that will collect the vulnerabilities, manually understand their contacts, add everything that is, investigate each one and add it to some field, right? It's not scalable. So you need to develop all kind of automation and machine learning capabilities that will do the analysis for you. And that, by the way, this is something we do in Skybox, obviously. But on the customer side, okay, also those type of algorithms can assist the customer to understand the impact on his environment. And regarding the how beneficial it is, I can say the verdict is not done, okay? Because if you think about EPSS, for example, you can see on the internet with all the various experts, okay, they disagree if EPSS is good vs CVSS. And I know those are just two factors that CVSS is something more static, okay? EPSS is like prediction. And I can find two people that agree which one is better. And that is like an obvious example of that. Is still not good enough to help people to make decisions. And you need the human factor still in the process.
And it is easy to get distracted by the latest shiny technologies. But how significant would you say the human element is in this equation? And how can organizations better foster a culture of awareness and a more proactive than reactive approach to cybersecurity?
So until Skynet will not be here, everything, the human will be in the process, right? Because not everything can be automated. Not every decision, you have all the data that you need. You will always need the human factor until one day that, all our jobs will be done by robots. So again, it's so critical that even, the most sophisticated technician tools today, which built on machine learning, they are based on new existing knowledge, okay? And they cannot really adapt themselves fast enough to new knowledge. You can see it even with ChatGPT and other ones. They still not have ability to solve what we call the agent problem, right? Like describe how do you get to a room, how do you make, to a kitchen, how do you make coffee, okay? Still, there is no machine learning that knows how to open the door, take out the mug, make the coffee. It's the same thing with vulnerabilities. There's still not enough sophistication in those algorithms to really replace the human. This is why it's very important to put emphasis on education, training, open communication, and to enforce organization policy. Right?
And as we prepare for life in 2024, if we look ahead, are there any emerging threats that you believe organizations should already be preparing for right now? And how are you at Skybox Security? How are you staying ahead in this constantly evolving landscape? I don't know how you guys sleep at night, man.
We don't. And to be honest, I don't know why people want to be CISO when they see all the threats, emerging threats. Maybe we'll take just one, which we already talked about, with the machine learning. This is also used by hackers, right? And when you can see it, for example, with spear phishing. I don't know if you are getting emails. I'm getting like 50 of those a day, and they become like increasingly personal. Okay, they use your name. They bring facts on you from LinkedIn and Facebook, trying to convince you that it's a legitimate email, right? So when you think about vulnerabilities, it's going to be the same. And you think about other threats. This is going to be the same. There's going to be like machine learning that is going to try stuff. Spread it across organizations and try to hack someone. So this will require organization to better manage their attack surface management, really understand their which asset they have, what's the risk they have for which one, how they impact the business, to do more discovery and exposure analysis, and of course to build processes to react faster to emerging threats. Automation of remediation, basically. More proactive security.
And for everybody listening, I've got to ask, I appreciate this is a huge question, but what key piece of advice would you offer to a tech leader or a decision maker listening in their organizations that maybe they can enhance their cybersecurity posture in the face of these ever-growing and evolving cyber threats? What advice would you give that person listening?
I think I will give advice that nobody else will give as that working in a cybersecurity organization. I will just tell them, collect data. Okay.
Yeah.
So data is the key for every decision you make. And, in every successful cybersecurity project I witnessed, there was enough data to make it successful. Okay. For example, you cannot really automate remediation work without, understanding I don't know if it's a patch, if the asset is a patch applicable, right? So, again, this is a very simple scenario, but of course the actual flows are so much complicated more than that. So my best advice is to collect the data and make it available for decision making, add it in education for the teams, add it in training, and share the data within any product that can use it as enrichment. I think that's the major thing.
I love that. And of course, right now, for every single person listening here, we all share that reality that there's a real pressure on everyone to be in a state of continuous learning. And as someone who's right in the heart of the ever-growing and evolving cybersecurity landscape, I've got to ask, how do you keep up to speed with the latest trends? Or should I say, where or how do you self-educate?
So, I always tell to my team members that this is the most important thing, which is continuously learn new stuff. Okay, that will make them relevant, and of course will help them to produce more quality capabilities for our products. So I must admit that first of all, I listen to your podcast. You have amazing episode, and I learn a lot from various people on your show. And second, I try to read a lot, and I think people don't understand how LinkedIn is good in that. You can find a lot of people in the domain that is sharing all kind of insights in a short 100, 200 characters posts, which are always on the spot, and you can learn new stuff, or at least to understand what you need to learn next. Okay? So those are my two small things I do on a daily basis.
Well, a huge thank you for the shout out for the podcast, man. I appreciate that.
Love it. I really love it. Yeah.
And for anyone listening, just wants to find out more information about Skybox Security or any of the topics we explored together today, where would you like to point everyone listening to find out more information?
So about Skybox, we have a lovely website. It's skyboxsecurity.com. Go inside. We have a lot of data out there, videos, white papers, webinars, whatever you would like to learn about. And if you need more information, you can contact directly. I'm on LinkedIn, Adi Dubin. That's my name. And I always welcome you, friends on LinkedIn.
Well, we are living at a time where attackers are looking for lower severity exploits. And I just love listening to you today about how Skybox Security and how it's helping organizations to better prioritize and focus on remediating some of these threats, most likely to disrupt their operations. We know the attacks are going to increase in 2024, but there is so much that we can do to not just be another hack or breach mentioned in one of those stories that frequent our news feed. So I wish you the best of luck next year. Hopefully we can meet in person at some point, but just thank you for coming on here today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very interesting, and hope to see you, let's say, soon.
And that concludes another episode of Tech Talks Daily. I hope you found this conversation as enlightening as I did, because I think it's clear that in the realm of cybersecurity, that allure of celebrity vulnerabilities can often distract us from addressing the core issues that could impact our organisations. And I think his insights reminded me of the importance of that holistic approach and a need to prioritise based on customer-specific risks. And as always, I encourage you to continue this conversation. Reach out to me on any social channel at Neil C. Hughes and email me techblogwriter@outlook.com and let me know, how do you and your organisation prioritise vulnerabilities? What strategies do you employ to stay ahead of the emerging threats? Let me know. But that's it for today, so thank you for listening as always, and until next time, don't be a stranger.